This is an NBC News special report. Here's Kate Snow.
Good evening. We're coming on the air with breaking news from the White House. President Biden hosting a July 4th celebration, about to update the nation on the administration's push to promote COVID vaccines and his goal to get America back to normal. Let's listen in.
It's a sacred day in our country, a day of history, of hope, remembrance and resolve, of promise and possibilities. Before me stands monuments to the greatest and the goodness of our nation, monuments of light and liberty. There's a towering memorial to George Washington, the general who led our revolution, and the president who set our nation on its course. There's a memorial to Thomas Jefferson, whose words about liberty and equality literally changed the world. And across the tidal basin, from the Jefferson Memorial, there stands Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., his arms crossed, his eyes fixed ahead toward the promised land where equality is not only an aspiration, but a reality. They help define who we are, guide what we do, remind us of the work that history has given us in our own time. This year, the 4th of July is a day of special celebration, for we are emerging from the darkness of years, a year of pandemic and isolation, a year of pain, fear, and heartbreaking loss. Just think back to where this nation was a year ago. Think back to where you were a year ago, and think about how far we've come. From silent streets to crowded parade routes lined with people waving American flags. From empty stadiums and arenas to fans back in their seats cheering together again. From families pressing hands against a window to grandparents hugging their grandchildren once again. We're back traveling again. We're back seeing one another again. Businesses are opening and hiring again. We're seeing record job creation and record economic growth, the best in 4 decades, and I might add, the best in the world. Today, all across this nation, we can say with confidence, America is coming back together. 245 years ago, we declared our independence from a distant king. Today, we are closer than ever to declaring our independence from a deadly virus. That's not to say the battle against COVID-19 is over. We've got a lot more work to do. But just as our declaration in 1776 was a call to action, not a reason for complacency or a claim of victory. It was a call to action. The same is true today. Back then, we had the power of an idea on our side. Today, we have the power of science. Thanks to our heroic vaccine effort, we've gained the upper hand against this virus. We can live our lives. Our kids can go back to school. Our economy is roaring back. Don't get me wrong. COVID-19 has not been vanquished. We all know powerful variants have emerged, like the Delta variant. But the best defense against these variants is to get vaccinated. My fellow Americans, it's the most patriotic thing you can do. So please, if you haven't gotten vaccinated, do it. Do it now. For yourself, for your loved ones, for your community, and for your country. You know, that's how we're going to stay ahead of these variants and protect the hard-won progress we've made. We never again want to be where we were a year ago today. So today, while the virus hasn't been vanquished, we know this: it no longer controls our lives. It no longer paralyzes our nation. And it's within our power to make sure it never does again. And for that, we can thank the scientists and researchers, the educators, and all the other frontline and essential workers, like many of you here today, who became the light to see us through the darkness. I hope you know that you, the American people, have been part of one of the most remarkable achievements in American history. But in this moment of joy, we know that this day falls hard on all those who've lost a loved one. As I've told you before, each day I carry a card in my pocket with my schedule on it. And the back of that schedule, on that card, I have the number of Americans who've lost their lives to COVID, the precise number. As of tonight, that number is 603,018 people have lost their lives. There are husbands and wives, mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, grandparents, friends, neighbors, co-workers. And we also remember all those who lost this year, that we lost and families lost to other causes of death and cruel twists of fate. They too left behind loved ones, unable to grieve or mourn or find closure. Each of them meant the world to someone they left behind. And those of you who've been through all this know that to heal, you have to remember. We have to remember them. And we will. We'll commit to always remember them. That's what we'll do. I've long said that America is unique. Unlike every other nation on earth, we were founded based on an idea. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all people are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, among them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And while we've never fully lived up to those words, we have never given up on them. They continue to animate us, and they remind us what at our best we as Americans believe. We Americans, we believe in honesty and decency, in treating everyone with dignity and respect, giving everyone a fair shot, demonizing no one, giving hate no safe harbor, and leaving no one behind. We lead by the power of our example, not the example of our power. And we're part of something so much bigger than ourselves. We stand as a beacon to the world. It's a code. It's a code, uniquely American code. It's who we are. To all the service members and your families who are here tonight, today, all of you serving around the world, it's the greatest honor to serve as your Commander-in-Chief. Jill and I and our entire family thank you for your service and sacrifice. Like so many military families, thinking of their loved ones who served, we think of our son Bo today. You're all part of a long chain of patriots who pledged their lives and their sacred honor in defense of this nation and democracy around the world, for freedom and fair play, for peace and security and opportunity, for the cause of justice, for the soul of America itself. But the defense of all that we love doesn't fall on your shoulders alone. It falls on all of us, every one of us, every American. Each day we're reminded there's nothing guaranteed about our democracy, nothing guaranteed about our way of life. We have to fight for it, defend it, earn it. Folks, it's up to all of us to protect the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, the right to equal justice under the law, the right to vote and have that vote counted, the right to breathe clean air, drink clean water, and know that our children and grandchildren will be safe on this planet for generations to come. The right to rise in the world as far as your God-given talent can take you, unlimited by barriers of privilege or power. One of the great gifts of the spirit of independence, and think about this, one of the great gifts is our capacity to see ourselves whole and see ourselves honestly. What we've gotten right, what we've gotten wrong. It's a measure of the greatness of America, and we are a great nation. We don't seek to bury the wrongs. We face it. We work to make it right. You know, history tells us that when we stand together, when we unite in common cause, when we see ourselves not as Republicans or Democrats, but as Americans, then there's simply no limit to what we can achieve. None. And today, we see the results of the unity of purpose. The unity of purpose in forging in our nation, we're forging in our nation. For together, we're beating the virus. Together, we're breathing life into our economy. Together, we will rescue our people from division and despair. But together, we must do it. Over the past year, we've lived through some of our darkest days. Now, I truly believe, I give my word as a Biden, I truly believe we're about to see our brightest future. Folks, this is a special nation, a great nation. And there is a timeless truth about America, the most powerful idea in the history of the world, in the hearts of the people of this country. It beats in all our hearts. No matter your race or ethnicity, no matter your gender identity or sexual orientation, no matter your disability, no matter your faith, it beats in the hearts of rich and poor alike. It unites America. Whether your ancestors were native to this land or brought here forcibly and enslaved, whether you were immigrants from generations back like my family that came from Ireland, or you're coming here today looking to build a better life for your family like our fellow Americans I just swore in the White House 2 days ago. The American creed, we use that phrase, the American creed, is we're all equal, created equal. It was written a long time ago. But the genius is that every generation of Americans has expanded it wider and wider to include those who were excluded before. That's why it's never gathered dust in our history books. It's still alive today. Alive in our hearts, alive in the work of our hands, alive not only in the history we read, but in the history we're making. My fellow Americans, now we are the guardians of that very idea of America. It's up to us to save it, to preserve it, to build on it. And I know we will. On this sacred day, I look out to those monuments on our National Mall and beyond them, into the hearts of our people across the land. And I know this, it's never, ever been a good bet to bet against America. Never. We just have to remember who we are. We are the United States of America. And there's nothing we can't do if we do it together. Folks, happy 4th of July, America. God bless you all. And may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
President Biden there addressing an audience at the White House, a party they're holding tonight for Independence Day, saying the country is emerging from the darkness, saying America is coming back together. Monica Alba is with us from the White House. Now, Monica, the president, the White House, the administration has put a lot of emphasis on this date, on July 4th, as sort of a turning point, and that's what you heard from him.
Exactly, Kate. This was a celebratory progress report, but not quite a victory speech. And that's because President Biden said the country has come a long way, but there is still a long way to go, that the job is far from over. And he framed that specifically in the context of vaccinations. By today, the White House wanted to see 70% of all American adults with at least one dose of the coronavirus vaccine. But they did fall short of that, narrowly missing it with only about 67% of that in that field, and about half of all Americans fully vaccinated at this point. So he wanted to remind everybody, while acknowledging the massive toll, more than 600,000 lives lost in this pandemic so far, that still there is work to be done, and that people who might still be waiting on the sidelines in terms of debating whether to get the shots need to act now, specifically referencing the highly transmissible Delta variant. That's something that now is accounting for about 25% of all new infections in the country, according to CDC data. It's something the White House is tracking very closely, deploying surge response teams to deal with it. And that's why you heard the president really talking about how America has emerged from that darkness and isolation, of course, noting how different things are this year compared to a year ago, but that the battle is not over yet. He, of course, referenced his late son, Beau Biden, while thanking military families and essential workers. They were the ones who comprised the crowd, more than 1,000 people, which is the largest event that has taken place here at the White House since the president took office. Kate.
All right, Monica Alba at the White House, thank you. And as Monica said, the president very deliberately mentioned the Delta variant, the dangerous Delta variant. I want to go to our medical contributor, Dr. Kavita Patel, who's with us. He also said that we've made a lot of progress. The virus no longer controls our lives. Medically speaking, is that all accurate?
Yeah, Kate, it's pretty accurate if you're vaccinated. If you're not, this really is, unfortunately, a lethal threat, not just the variant, but the ability for this variant to penetrate unvaccinated young people. It's really astonishing. So this is an incredible moment to celebrate, as he talked about, and as the president discussed, but also a heavy moment of commitment and responsibility.
And if you were giving advice to the White House, what do they need to do in the next month, quickly?
Yeah, this is, I have talked with folks in the White House, and the federal strategy, mass vaccinations, really large ways to get to bigger populations, that's obviously not the answer. Now it's about getting down at the community levels and having physician offices, people that others trust in the community, have those shots in their hands to be able to have conversations with people. And frankly, Kate, as America is opening back up again and people are going into restaurants, I would love to see even small business owners just having very honest discussions with people about any concerns they have. Nobody is shaming or blaming here, but I'm more worried about half of the United States that's not vaccinated. In some parts of the country, even more.
All right, Dr. Patel, thank you. That concludes our coverage for now. We will have much more tomorrow on Today. For now, I'm Kate Snow. Thanks so much for watching. Happy Independence Day.